Welcome to another tutorial from photoshopisfun.com. Now today what I want to do is just a beginner's level tutorial for removing objects from your photography. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll want to take things out of a photograph to bring focus to either your central character or wherever your focal point is within your photograph. So what we're going to do is I'm going to build off an image that I did another tutorial for, and what I basically want to do is start removing some things that are really visual distractions within the image. So I'm going to take this out and some of the power lines within the image, and maybe even some of the characters here, so that all we have left is this awesome shot of this dude, 500 feet in the air on his board. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to deal with in this image is the lamppost here and all the power lines. So to do that, I am going to use my spot healing brush here and my bracket keys to make it larger or smaller, or if you don't want to use your bracket keys, you can use the size adjustment here. And I also want to make sure that my hardness is at 100%. So your brush size should be just a little bit larger than the object you're selecting. And I'm just going to bring it down to about here. And then I'll use a smaller brush size as I get into the tree area. So you can see it did a pretty good job. It added in some power lines to, because it thought that that's what I wanted, which I don't, but I'll deal with those a different way. Now I'm going to make my brush size a little bit smaller. So I go in through here and I take out the rest of the pole. You can see that the helium brush tool does a pretty good job. And if you aren't happy with some of the detail in here, you would do something like maybe a clone stamp or some other techniques. And then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the power line there. Did a really nice job of that. And I'm going to go back up here to get rid of these power lines in the sky. And you can see that the helium brush tool hopefully does a fantastic job that I don't have to go back and work on. So it didn't. So you can see that it left some of the power lines. So what I'm going to do by going back over it using the same tool is essentially tell Photoshop you didn't do a good enough job and you need to retry using a different algorithm. And that's exactly what Photoshop will do. So let's see if it fixes it with its second attempt. And it does a really nice job. So then I'm going to do a similar thing here to get rid of this. And hopefully, again, Photoshop knows what to do. I'm going to do that there. I'm going to shrink my brush just a little bit just so I can get really accurate and just select the power lines. Again, nice job. There we go. Now, this tree also I want to take out, so I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit bigger brush. It's not really adding anything to the photograph, so I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of it. And, whoa, it added a power line. I'm going to tell it that that's not what I wanted, and it corrected it, which is, again, a really nice feature and a credit to the developers at Adobe. And let's do this. And again, if Photoshop still can't do it after the second or third pass, there are other techniques you can use that we'll talk about here in this tutorial. But for now, it seems to be doing a pretty good job. Get that. There we go. Now I'm going to get some of the power lines that are in the tree line. Just little things that I see in there. Okay, I'll come back and fix that a different way. Okay, so we've removed the power lines. They look really good in the sky. The next thing I'm going to do is get rid of this pole, doing the same thing. Photoshop should know how to deal with that pretty well. Again, when you have a non-complicated background pattern, so like the blue sky, Photoshop's going to be a lot more accurate the first time, which is really nice. So the other thing I want to do is get rid of this cloud. Now, I have a feeling that the helium brush tool isn't going to work really well on this cloud. You can see it left a little blue. So to correct that, what I'm going to do is the patch tool. And I'm going to go around the area, and I'm going to sample from over here. And it did a pretty good job. I'm going to turn on color blending mode, which is new technology that shipped with Photoshop 2014. I just did a tutorial on this, and I'm going to switch this to 7. And then I'm going to bring it out here, and I should get a nice blend. Yeah, looks great. I also see one lens spot. I'm going to get rid of that. And I think we are pretty good. I'm going to see if this being gone is a benefit to the photo. I think it is, actually. And there you have it. So I have most of the objects that were causing the visual distraction out of the way in this image. So it's already a better image. Let me show you the difference. Well, I've actually moved him, which I did in another tutorial, but just overall you can see what those power lines do and how visually distracting they are. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this dude from the photo. And to do that, I'm going to zoom in on him. I'm going to come down. You can see there's still some power lines that I need to clean up in here. But I'm going to work on him right now. And I'm going to draw a line around him, and I'm using my patch tool. Okay. And I'm going to sample from this area. This is a complicated background. So it's got a horizontal line here, a horizontal line here, and another one here, and then it has these vertical lines. So this is complicated stuff, and you know, really requires a sophisticated algorithm to get right. We'll see how Photoshop does with it. But what I want to do when I'm sampling from over here is I want to do my best to line up the horizontal lines. So about there, and you can see it didn't do a fantastic job, and the reason it didn't is because I have my color blending on. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go back up to the gear, and I'm going to turn that off. Let's try it again. I let go a little early by mistake. Let's try that one more time. There, it did a pretty good job. Definitely not perfect, but it did a pretty nice job. So overall, that looks good. I could also do the same thing with him. I could take him out, but I'm going to go ahead and leave him for now. Actually, I might do something fun with him. Hold on. Let's go ahead and clone stamp. Okay, now I'm going to give him a third nipple, which is always fun. So I'm going to hold down Alt to sample from there. And then actually I need to be on current and below for my layers so that it'll sample from here. And I'm going to go ahead and again do that. And we will give him a third nipple, but let's put it at the right height. Just about there. So that looks pretty disturbing. There we go. Good times. So anyway, just gives you an idea of how you can remove objects from your photograph with, using Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and show you the original. I've moved the skater way up into the air, given him a lot more elevation, and then removed all those distracting background elements. So play around with these tools, use them in your own photography, and until the next tutorial, happy photoshopping.